Have you ever woken up feeling absolutely fantastic, deeply rested, and ready to conquer the day? Only to look down at your wrist and see a glaring red number telling you your sleep was terrible? And suddenly, almost like magic, you actually start to feel exhausted?
It is one of the greatest ironies of modern life. We are strapping supercomputers to our wrists, measuring thousands of biological data points every single day. Yet, as a society, we are more stressed, more anxious, and more disconnected from our own bodies than ever before.
It is like we are drowning in information but completely starving for actual wisdom. Welcome to today's deep dive, where we are unpacking a massive necessary paradigm shift in health technology. We are moving away from an era of what we can only call dumb tracking and stepping into the age of true health intelligence. The fundamental question we have to ask ourselves today is, why are we measuring so much, yet understanding so little?
Because numbers on a screen are not intelligence. We have spent the last decade building wearables that act almost entirely as passive sensors. They are incredible at collecting raw data, heart rate, blood oxygen levels, sleep stages, daily steps, but they are historically terrible at telling you what any of that data actually means for your life and your longevity.
Right, it is the classic dashboard problem. You get a notification on your phone saying your recovery score is low. Okay, great. Now what? Was it the late night meal I had? Is it baseline work stress? Am I fighting off a virus? The device just throws a random metric at you and essentially says, good luck figuring this out on your own.
Exactly. And that lack of interpretation creates a very real, very heavy psychological burden. Instead of empowering people, raw data without context often breeds anxiety. We literally have a documented medical phenomenon now called orthosomnia. It is an unhealthy, obsessive fixation on achieving the perfect sleep score. People are actually losing sleep because they are lying in bed stressing about the device that is tracking their sleep.
That is wild, but it makes total sense. We have turned our biology into a video game where we are constantly trying to beat our own high score. I know I have definitely felt judged by my watch after a late-night pizza, but the human body isn't a video game. It is not a machine with simple input-output mechanics. It is a highly complex, dynamic ecosystem.
Precisely. The body does not operate in isolated silos. Your sleep affects your metabolic rate, which affects your stress hormones, which in turn impacts your mood, your cognitive function, and your next night's sleep. Everything is a deeply interconnected web. When a traditional wearable just flags a low heart rate variability, or HRV, it means very little in isolation.
So it is like looking at a single brushstroke and trying to understand the entire painting. You just cannot see the full picture from one data point.
That is a perfect analogy. And this is exactly where artificial intelligence is completely rewriting the rules of health technology. The future is no longer about adding more sensors to a device just to collect more data. It is about the interpretation layer. AI has the unique ability to analyze the hidden relationships between all these different biological signals over long periods of time.
Let's dig into that, because I think this is the crucial turning point for anyone listening who feels overwhelmed by their smart devices. How does an AI-driven system process this differently than the standard smartwatches most people are wearing right now?
Think of it this way. A standard wearable sees a drop in your HRV and sends a generic alert. An AI health intelligence system, however, looks at that drop in HRV, cross-references it with your fragmented sleep cycles over the past 4 days, notices a slight upward trend in your resting body temperature, and factors in your recent physical strain. It connects those dots mathematically to reveal a meaningful physiological shift.
So instead of just handing you a pile of puzzle pieces, it actually puts the puzzle together for you and shows you the image. It changes the conversation from, here is your raw data, to, here is what your biology is actually trying to communicate to you.
Yes, and that shifts the entire human experience from being reactive to being deeply proactive. Historically, modern medicine has been incredibly reactive. We wait for something to break, we wait for a symptom to become unbearable, and then we go to a clinic to try and diagnose a disease. But chronic conditions, things like severe burnout, metabolic dysfunction, hormonal imbalances, they do not just happen overnight.
They creep up on you. It is a slow, quiet accumulation of stress and poor recovery that builds up over months or even years.
Exactly. In the medical field, we call that physiological drift. The body is always adapting, always compensating for the stress we put on it. AI wearables can detect those subtle, microscopic shifts in your baseline long before a clinical symptom ever appears. It is not about diagnosing a disease or creating fear. It is about providing early biological insight. Catching the whispers of your body before it has to start screaming.
Catching the whispers before it starts screaming. That is a profound way to look at it. It makes me think about the societal cost of our current approach. We spend billions on healthcare, yet so much of it is just late-stage damage control. If we can use AI to interpret these subtle shifts, we aren't just upgrading our gadgets. We are potentially shifting the entire framework of human longevity.
We absolutely are. Take sleep, for example. For years, the only question we asked our devices was, how many hours did I get? But two different people can sleep for exactly 8 hours and have entirely different biological outcomes. One might wake up fully restored, while the other wakes up in a state of autonomic stress.
Right? Because the quality, the architecture of that sleep, the efficiency of the brain's cleaning processes during the night, all of that matters just as much, if not more, than the raw duration.
And that is where interpretation becomes infinitely more valuable than measurement. A truly intelligent system evaluates the efficiency of your recovery, the balance of your nervous system, your readiness to take on the day. It guides your behavior gently. It might suggest that shifting your sleep window by just 30 minutes could drastically improve your autonomic balance based on your unique historical data. It simplifies the complexity.
Which brings us to the core philosophy behind the OXYZEN ring. It feels like this device was built specifically to solve this exact crisis of dumb tracking. It is not just another piece of hardware vibrating on your finger to tell you to stand up. It is positioned as true health intelligence.
That is the defining difference. The vision behind OXYZEN is to move humanity beyond isolated numbers and endless confusing dashboards. It is about understanding the delicate balance between strain and recovery. The technology is designed to translate complex data into clear, actionable understanding without overwhelming the user or creating that tech-induced anxiety we talked about earlier.
It is almost a philosophical shift in how we view technology's role in our lives. For so long, we have allowed technology to dictate our behavior through notifications, alerts, and red rings that make us feel guilty. But a system like OXYZEN flips the script. It uses advanced neural networks and deep pattern recognition not to control you, but to introduce you to yourself, to make you more profoundly aware of your own internal ecosystem.
That is the ultimate goal. The winner in the next decade of wearable technology will not be the company that manages to pack the most sensors into a device. It will be the company that creates the most meaningful, human-centric understanding of the data those sensors collect.
So we are really looking at a future where our relationship with our own biology is continuous, rather than episodic. We won't just think about our health during a 15-minute doctor's appointment once a year. We will have a silent, intelligent partner helping us navigate our daily choices.
And imagine the freedom in that. When you no longer have to guess what your body needs. When you can trust that your wearable is filtering out the noise and only presenting you with the insights that truly matter. It is the end of guessing and the beginning of actual knowing. We are entering an era where humans may begin understanding the body not only when it breaks down, but while it is still adapting.
As we wrap up today's conversation, I want to leave everyone listening with something to really chew on. We have spent years obsessing over data, treating our bodies like machines to be optimized, calibrated, and pushed to the absolute limit. But maybe the future of health isn't about pushing harder. Maybe it is about listening closer.
Wearables alone do not improve health, interpretation does. That is the fundamental truth we have to embrace moving forward.
If your biology could finally speak to you in a language you truly understood, what do you think it would say? Would it ask for more hustle, or would it ask for more harmony? It's a question worth asking yourself tonight. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the future of health intelligence. Until next time, keep listening to what your body's telling you.